He looked at a crowd of thousands of people and said, "You are dead. 99% of humanity has already died, but doesn't know it yet." He spent decades proving it. Rich, poor, intellectuals, illiterate, all walking dead. And the most insane part? He had evidence. This is the theory that shattered egos, ruined careers, and to this day, no one has been able to completely refute it. His name was George Gurdjieff. And he wasn't speaking metaphorically. Armenia, late 19th century. A region where three empires collided. On the edges of the known world, a child was born who would question everything. George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. Son of a Greek carpenter, he grew up hearing ancient legends, stories of lost knowledge. At age 12, he witnessed something that would change everything. A Yazidi boy became paralyzed inside a circle drawn on the ground. He couldn't leave. As if an invisible force held him. If a circle can imprison a human, Gurdjieff thought, what other invisible prisons exist? That question would take him on a 20-year journey through the East. And when he returned, he carried a truth no one wanted to hear. St. Petersburg, Russia. Gurdjieff arrives as a transformed man. Thick mustache, piercing eyes, magnetic presence. He had seen Tibetan monasteries, Sufi dervishes, esoteric schools in Afghanistan. He learned sacred music. Dances that reprogram the brain. Techniques to break human automatism. But the most disturbing knowledge came from a monastery called Sarmaun, lost in the mountains. There, ancient masters guarded a brutal truth about humanity. He began teaching in cafes. Discreet meetings. Conversations that seemed normal until he dropped the bomb. You think you are awake now, don't you? Listen carefully, you are asleep. Deeply asleep. And like people who dream, you believe the dream is real. People laughed nervously. Then he proved it. Tell me, he pointed at someone, did you decide to lift that cup right now, or did something in you decide for you? Silence. Are you doing something now, or is it just happening through you? And just like that, the mask fell. Because Gurdjieff wasn't talking philosophy. He was describing the most perfect prison ever created, a prison where the inmates don't know they're confined. Moscow now. The word was spreading. An Armenian mystic was destroying the self-image of Russia's brightest minds. Among them, Pyotr Ouspensky, mathematician, philosopher, author. A trained skeptic. First meeting, Gurdjieff said, "Mr. Ouspensky, you have written books about higher consciousness. But tell me, are you conscious at this moment?" Ouspensky replied, "Of course." "Of what?" "Of this room. Of you. Of myself." "Excellent. Now tell me, were you conscious of your left hand 5 seconds ago?" Pause. "No." "Then you were not conscious. You were identified. Lost in thought. Daydreaming. As you were 99% of your time." Ouspensky felt as if he had been punched in the gut. It was true. He spent whole days without a single moment of real presence. Operating on autopilot. Reacting, not acting. Gurdjieff continued, "Man does not have a unified eye. He is a legion. Hundreds of small eyes, each taking control for a few seconds." He demonstrated this brutally. People realized they were legion. Not one unified consciousness, but a chaotic committee. None was in control. And the most frightening, none of these eyes knew the others existed. Gurdjieff introduced his system, the Fourth Way. The Fourth Way integrated the paths of the monk, yogi, and fakir, but with a brutal difference, it worked in ordinary life. You must wake up where you are sleeping, he would say. In the office. On the street. At home. Because that is where you are dead. He developed cruel exercises, the stop exercise. At any moment, someone would yell stop. Everyone would freeze. You would observe your thoughts, your body, your automatic impulses trying to make you move. Self-observation, observing yourself without judgment. Seeing your patterns, your repetitive mental scripts. Work against the buffers, destroying the defense mechanisms that kept internal contradictions hidden. Super effort, doing the opposite of your automatic impulse. Breaking the machine. And the dances. The sacred movements. Geometrically complex choreographies that would short-circuit the brain. Impossible to do on autopilot. The mechanical mind would panic. And in that panic, something would awaken. The Russian Revolution exploded. Gurdjieff and his students fled. Constantinople, then Berlin, then London. In every city, he planted seeds. He destroyed egos. Fontainebleau, France. Gurdjieff bought the Château du Prieur. And there he founded his supreme laboratory, the Institute for the Harmonious Development of Man. He recruited artists, intellectuals, writers. People who thought they were already awake. And he broke them. Systematically. Catherine Mansfield, one of the greatest English language writers, arrived at the Institute dying of tuberculosis. Gurdjieff made her live in a barn, breathing in the animal vapors. It seemed like madness. But she said, for the first time in my life, I am alive. Not thinking about being alive. Being alive. She died there, but she died awake. The Institute operated on strange principles, everything was intentional. Gurdjieff created impossible situations, contradictory orders, absurd demands, to force people to see themselves reacting automatically. Extreme physical labor. Famous writers carrying stones. Shocks. Gurdjieff was brutal. He systematically destroyed the buffers. They were ritual dinners where he would drop a psychological bomb mid-celebration. People realized they were watching the machine operate. Watching thoughts arrive unbidden. Seeing the automatic reactions, the social scripts. Ouspensky wrote, I realized I spent 40 years sleeping. But it was just the machine operating. But here's the disturbing twist, Gurdjieff also taught that most people would never wake up. Because waking up was too painful. It meant seeing that, you don't control your thoughts, you are a collection of programmed reactions, and 99% of what you call I is just social conditioning. And worse, it meant seeing that you were dead. Functionally dead. Operating on autopilot, like a sophisticated robot that thinks it has free will. Gurdjieff said, man has no soul. He must create a soul through conscious work. Most people die without ever having had a real soul. Just a collection of habits that vanish with the body. This was a death sentence for 99% of humanity. Mid-1920s. The Institute was at its peak. Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect. René Daumal, the surrealist poet. All seeking to wake up from the collective dream called normal life. Gurdjieff gave public demonstrations of the movements. They were not entertainment. They were spiritual technology. But in 1924, disaster. Gurdjieff suffered a near-fatal car accident. He closed the institute. He sent the students away. Now I will write, he announced. And over the next 25 years, he produced his masterpiece, Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson. 1,000 pages of brutal denunciation of humanity. The book described Earth from the perspective of an exiled cosmic demon, observing humans as a scientist observes bacteria. And his conclusion was devastating, humanity was in a collective hypnotic sleep. Programmed to serve purposes it did not understand. The central theory, humans are food for the moon. Not literally, but energetically. Our emotional energy feeds larger forces in the cosmos. And the more we sleep, the better we serve this purpose. The only way out, to wake up. Develop real consciousness. But only 1% would have the courage. Gurdjieff died in 1949. His legacy was planted. Gurdjieff groups formed all over the world. Quiet. Discreet. Because here's the final irony, Gurdjieff said you cannot seek the fourth way. It finds you when you are ready. And most are never ready. Because being ready means admitting the most brutal truth, you are dead. And waking up means dying to everything you think you are. Now, here's the part that will bother you, watching this video right now, are probably asleep. Sleeping awake. Think with me, how many times today did you act on autopilot? Picked up your phone without consciously deciding. Ate without tasting. Replied to someone with a ready-made mental script. Gurdjieff would say, this is not life. It is mechanical repetition. The machine operating. The signs that you are dead, you don't remember the drive or walk. You are on autopilot. You are moved by triggers. The machine responded. You have the same problems for years, because you are not conscious enough to change. You rarely feel presence. Gurdjieff would say, this is a glimpse of being awake. And you live maybe 0.001% of your time like this. The most disturbing part of Gurdjieff's teaching, you cannot wake up alone. Because the machine cannot fix the machine. The dream cannot awaken the dream. You need external shocks. That's why he created intentional chaos. Because comfort is the enemy of consciousness. You are more dead when you are comfortable. Now, the question no one wants to ask, what if he was right? What if 99% of people are truly functionally dead? Operating on social scripts, inherited patterns, automatic reactions. Working, eating, reproducing, dying. Without a single moment of real presence. Without ever having consciously chosen anything. Just the illusion of choice. You can test it now. Try this, be conscious of your breath for 60 seconds. Just that. Observe every inhale, every exhale. Without thinking of anything else. Gurdjieff would bet you couldn't get past 10 seconds before a random thought appeared. This proves, you are not in control. The machine is in charge. And you, the true consciousness, are dormant within it. So, are we all doomed? Gurdjieff would say, no. But the path is narrow. Waking up requires 3 things, recognizing that you are asleep. Creating intentional friction. Group work. But here's the final truth, most people don't want to wake up. Because waking up means responsibility. It means seeing everything, the pain, the emptiness, the lack of meaning. It's easier to stay asleep. That's why 99% remain dead. Gurdjieff left a final message, man as he is not a complete being. He is an unfinished being. A possibility. Most die as unfinished projects. But some, the 1%, decide to complete themselves. They decide to wake up, even if it is painful. They decide to live, not just exist. The question is, are you ready to find out if you're dead? Or would you prefer to keep sleeping? If this theory disturbed you, you're not alone. Let us know in the comments, was Gurdjieff right or was he a genius charlatan? And if you want more theories that shatter your view of reality, subscribe to the channel. Because the next one? It's going to make this one look comfortable. Until next time.